In a quaint village nestled beside a whispering forest, lived a young woman named Alara. She was known for her gentle spirit and an extraordinary gift. She could coax the most beautiful roses to bloom, even in the harshest weather. One day, a traveling merchant arrived, his cart laden with exotic goods and tales of far-off lands. He spoke of a legendary rose of everlasting bloom, said to grant its possessor eternal beauty. Alara, though content, couldn't help but be curious. Not for herself, but for the village elder, whose health was failing. She dreamt of finding the rose and sharing its gift. Driven by compassion, Alara set off on a journey, following the merchant's vague directions. The path led her through treacherous mountains and across whispering deserts, each step testing her resolve. Finally, she reached a hidden garden, guarded by thorny vines and ancient trees. In the center, bathed in moonlight, bloomed the rose of everlasting bloom. Its petals shimmered with an ethereal light, and its fragrance filled the air with magic. But as Alara reached for the rose, a shadowy figure emerged, claiming to be the guardian of the garden. He warned her that the rose's beauty came at a price, the life force of another. Alara was horrified. She refused to sacrifice another's life for fleeting beauty. Instead, she pleaded with the guardian, offering her own life in exchange for the rose's healing power. Moved by her selfless act, the guardian revealed that the true gift of the rose was not eternal beauty, but eternal kindness. He allowed Alara to take a single petal, imbued with the power to heal. Alara returned to her village, where the single petal restored the elder's health. More importantly, it inspired the villagers to embrace kindness and compassion, creating a community where beauty bloomed from within. In a quaint village nestled beside a whispering forest, there lived a clockmaker named Elias. He wasn't just any clockmaker. Elias crafted clocks that bloomed with roses at every hour. His most extraordinary creation was the rose clock, a masterpiece whose hands were crafted from thorns and whose face was encircled by 12 crimson roses. Legend had it that the rose clock could grant its owner a single, heartfelt wish, but only if the clockmaker deemed them worthy. Alara lived in Chronopolis, a city powered by rose clocks. These weren't just time-telling devices. They harnessed the unique energy signature of rare celestial roses to regulate the city's temporal flow. Every district operated on a slightly different time rhythm, meticulously managed by the Clockmakers Guild. Alara, a junior apprentice, was obsessed with rose clocks, especially the lunar phase regulator. These intricate mechanisms synchronized Chronopolis with the moon's cycles. She struggled with the regulators, adding too much rose essence which made certain districts fast forward and others stuck in slow motion. The guild depended on this to keep everything on track. Elder Silas, the head of the guild, was renowned for his mastery. However, Silas was getting old and so he needed an apprentice to continue on his legacy. When Elder Silas offered Alara a position to become his apprentice, Alara hesitated because he knew that she was still struggling with the lunar phase regulator. Silas urged her to take on this challenge. Alara knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. One day, a temporal tremor rippled through Chronopolis. Markets opened before dawn, shops shuttered at noon, and crops began to wither. All because the lunar phase regulators were malfunctioning across the city. Silas determined that this was from the rare rose, Rosa lunaris, when the lunar phase regulators were powered by the rose's lunar energy. Because these roses were used to power a lot of the temporal elements in Chronopolis, Silas feared that the time cycles were breaking down. Desperate, Alara ventured into the abandoned rose gardens, a place forbidden since a tragic accident years ago. This was the place where the celestial roses bloomed once before. It was also the reason why the gardens were shut off from everyone else. She believed the answer lay in understanding the rose's true nature. According to the story, if anyone stepped into that garden, a person will disappear because it will be lost in time. Amidst the decaying remnants of the garden, she discovered a single, vibrant Rosa lunaris, its energy flow disrupted by temporal moss. As she approached, the flower's bright blue hue faded to a dull gray. Silas followed her into the gardens. Silas confronted Alara, explaining that the only way to extract the Rosa lunaris was to destroy the temporal moss. It was a risky mission because destroying the temporal moss may release a lot of energy that could cause the world to freeze in time. Alara, with Silas's help and drawing on her experiences, created a device that could harmonize the energy signatures of the Rosa lunaris and the temporal moss. She then used the device to separate the temporal moss without destroying it, and the device ended up using the lunar energy to nourish the other plants. The Rosa lunaris flourished, its lunar energy stronger than ever. Alara returned to the guild and re-engineered the lunar phase regulators with the restored Rosa lunaris essence. Chronopolis stabilized, its temporal rhythms restored. Alara, now respected and no longer an outcast, was hailed as a hero. She became Silas's apprentice, dedicated to understanding and preserving the delicate balance of time and nature, understanding that errors are often the best opportunities for growth and innovation. Everyone returned to their normal routine, and they were thankful for Alara and Silas's help. The story begins. Hopefully, it works for your needs.